Tlhoko Matlhare mme gompieno mo thulaganyo ya rena tle be re bua ka teenage pregnancy. E le kgang e leng gore ke kgang e tshwenyang thata e sa le ntse e tshwenya go simologa ngwaga o hitileng mme e ka re ntse ya magoletsa. Mme ke na le bangwe mo studiong ba ile gore tle be re bua kgang e mmogo ke tla ba ha tshone gore ba ipulela gore ke bomang ba tswa go kae.
Yes.
A re simolole ka wena motsadi go bidiwa mang ebile o tswa go kae o dira eng gape?
Dumelang, good morning. My name is Kemmonye Chipo. I'm a school counselor and I'm coming here from Oriel International School.
Okay.
My name is Abigail Abednico. I am a student at Oriel International School.
Okay, I think I'll use Lillian. Yes. And how are you, sir?
I'm okay, sir. My name is Witness. I'm a teacher and I'm a parent, and it's good to be on your show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gompieno re tlo bua ka teenage pregnancy. Tota hela ha re bua ka teenage pregnancy ke kgang e le gore ya tshwenya mo lehatsheng la rona re ntse re lebile dipalo e ka re di ama go letsa. Mme ke batla re simolle ka wena o le morutabana o le counselora gore ha re bua ka teenage pregnancy ra bo re bua ka eng gongwe o ka e tlhalosa ka tsela e le gore ba ba ko lapeng ba tlhaloganye gore ha re bua ka teenage pregnancy re bua ka eng.
Teenage pregnancy, it's basically when a teenage girl who's aged between 16 and 19 falls pregnant. And usually it's unintended because these children, you find that they lack sexual and reproductive health information and services that will help them to be able to navigate and avoid such circumstances. If we,
Yeah. Mr. Banda.
Yes, sir. Bamba.
You are a Bamba. Sorry for that. Mr. Bamba, you are a teacher.
Yes, sir.
You understand the meaning of teenage pregnancy.
Yeah.
And maybe you can tell us in your own perspective, when we talk about teenage pregnancy, what exactly is it and what it entitles? What actually happens when we talk about teenage pregnancy?
Well, this is a very touching subject and one that is very disturbing to us as teachers, as parents, as well as to the community at large. Because when we look at teenage pregnancy, like what she said, we are basically looking at when small children from ages between 16, 15, getting pregnant up to around 19 years. And this issue is a big issue in our community because it deprives an innocent soul of a bright future that they could be having set for them out there in the world. And it's something that we need to look at and have a strong look at it so that it can be governed. Yes.
Maybe somebody would ask, since you are a teacher,
Yes.
what do you think causes this teenage pregnancy?
Well, there's a lot of issues that come in mind when we talk of teenage pregnancy. Apparently, us as teachers as well might not be guiding these children properly when we teach them about these guiding and counseling issues. And then they end up trying to experiment with some of the things that we teach them even in the classes. They try to experiment them on the outside there. And then as parents, again, we also have issues of trying to utilize our kids as a source of income, as a source of living in the family. And then the child might be forced to be going out there to look for income, and then eventually that's when they might end up getting pregnant. So from there, we have a lot of things that are causing this child pregnancy nowadays. Yes.
Ke tlo bua ka dingwaga tsa age between 15 and 16, being a teenager to 17. As a counselor, kana as a teacher, wena ke eng se ile gore o se bone kana o se tlhoko se ile gore se dira gore bana ba nnele ba tse tshwetso ya gone gore ba helle ba le mo seemong se ba le mo go sone?
re ka leba malapa a ileng gore a thubegile. Malapa a ileng gore ga a tlhokomele bana. Neglectful families and broken families. You know, you find that in a family, the parent never take a turn to govern their child, to guide them through. To say, kana, this is what life is there out there. You know, this is what is out there. You need to prepare yourself for the challenges that are out there. Let's teach our children, you know, to set boundaries in life, you know, and everything that's going out there, they tend to, sometimes they tend to unable to, you know, withstand the challenges that they tend to go through in life. So basically, you know, the broken families and neglectful, those are things that I've been able to take note of.
Let's talk to the teenager. Maybe you can tell us, Hori, at school, or maybe just in your life, hela mo botshelong ba go ko sekolong ko lapeng le ditsala tseo di bonang gongwe ba na le diemo tseo ga o utlwa ba bua o a bo belela gore go a bo go dirwa keng hela as a teenager gongwe re ka tlhaloganya mo go lona ka ke lona ke re le dio tse di le diragalang. What's the influence behind the pregnancy, teenage pregnancy?
I think that part of it could be the general curiosity, because when you become a teenager, you begin to gain a stronger sense of identity and independence. And on top of that, you do tend to form your own values and question authorities and rules. And on top of that, it could be the people that you hang around with, your friends or even your partners. They could already be doing certain things, saying that, oh, last night I was at Simangmang's house and we were drinking. Oh, it was so much fun. Why didn't you come with us? And I think because of that kind of pressure, it brings the teen to feel like, oh, I want to be cool too. So I have to impress this person. And for me to impress this person, that means I have to participate in these things.
Okay. So in other words, alcohol and peer pressure are the most or main factors of teenage pregnancy.
Yes.
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 And do you think schools and teachers, even as parents, are doing enough to actually help or educate teenagers in terms of teenage pregnancy?
Honestly, I feel that there isn't enough talk at both schools and at home. At home, you find that parents find it difficult to have these kind of conversations with their children, as it's maybe too big or even kind of like a taboo to talk about it with their children. But it's actually very, very important for them to understand how it's like in the outside world, what you'd be faced with. And I feel like even with schools, it's wise to teach these kids about pregnancy, on how it happens, and to teach these kids on their reproductive health and how to protect themselves in general also.
Ke yo ngwana wa bua mmao gore re le batsadi ga re dire sentle kana ga re ntse thuto e tshwanetseng yone ya go ruta bana. Ga ke itse gore a ke ka re ke culture e leng gore e dira gore re ska ruta bana ba rona ka go setse dilo di hetogile. Ke tle ke utlwe ba re we are living in the millennium years. Technology gorogile, we have social media e leng gore influence bana ka diwe tse di harologanyeng. Ga ke itse gongwe wena as a teacher and as a counselor, how do these things affect the young kids, which actually now lead them to having to experience the teenage pregnancy? Do you think social media as one of the main culprits? Le rona re le batsadi ke utlwe Mr.
Bamba.
a bua gore as parents ha gongwe re na le go rekisa bana ba rona. Coming from a family e leng gore we are not well off, you know, re sa tshele sentle, ke le mme wa motsadi, a single parent, ke simolla ke ra ngwana ke re nya o tle ka sengwe ho ra se mamang a tle ka sengwe a go neela sengwenyana. What are the issues? Ke batla re tsena mo di issues tse e leng gore di dira gore re tsena yaanong ko teenage pregnancy e leng gore bua ka yone gompieno.
Erra tota go ntse yalo di broken families tota ke tsone kgangkgolo. Ko re tswang teng, we have poverty. We itlhelela gore ko lapeng go thata gore motsadi a be borotho mo tafoleng. We itlhelela a heletsa a taking chances and opportunities with their child, selling off their children, right? We can talk of poverty and the different aspects of life. We have the social aspect, the physical aspect, the emotional aspect. You know, if a child gets pregnant at a young age, it affects them emotionally, mentally. Physically, yes, because now they're going to go through changes with their bodies and how people are going to be treating them out there. So you can imagine having to go through all of this as a child coming from a broken family. You know, you have no one to rely on. Who are you at that moment, you know? And you find that right now globally, teenage pregnancy is decreasing in a way. But if we bring it back to Botswana, it's still a high rate. Why? It's because us as teachers and counselors and parents, we are not doing enough. Let's talk about school for now, right? We have schools. Government schools right now have guidance and counseling lessons. Are the teachers doing enough to speak out about the issues and the stigma around talking about sexual reproductive issues, you know, the sex, the contraceptives? We still have those parents who are still scared to talk about such issues. Why? Because they feel like you talking about it, it's more like saying, my daughter, go and do it. But no, you're teaching them as early as young to say that you are growing up, my daughter, my son. But as you grow up, this is what you're going to encounter in life. You understand? So when you speak out about it, you're not necessarily saying, my daughter, go do this, go do this. No. We're just trying to curb the issue of them ending up doing these nasty things out there, you know, falling into the bad things and all that. Do you understand it? Yes. And then if we talk about us as a country, we are still lacking in different departments and, you know, because let's talk about the programs and the outreaches that are out there. You know, some of the private and the non-governmental organizations right now, they are not doing their best. Why? Because there is lack of funding. Counselors right now are not able to get the opportunities for them to be able to practice the counseling so that they can help these students in schools to be able to like outreach for them so that they understand that, you know, sex is there, but you have to do it at a certain age and not condone to these bad things at a very young age. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go here. Teenage pregnancy is with different stages. And I do understand it also, there's also defilement there.
Yes.
Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about defilement. An 18-year-old sleeps with a 14-year-old. That is defilement. They get pregnant. And how do you differentiate the two, sir?
Well, I think nowadays, looking at it like more mainly in the Botswana context, a lot of the teenage pregnancies are coming through this problem of defilement, where an elderly person takes advantage of a younger child and then they sleeps with them. So I think also coming back to the broken families, like what she has been talking about, Madam Councillor, we have a family whereby maybe a brother or an uncle defiles on a school child like this. And then eventually, as a family, they would want to protect the family image. And then they end up not going out to report about it. They keep it within the family. Eventually, the future of the child has been thrown away because the child is just going to get pregnant and then they won't be able to go back into school. So I think a lot needs to be done, especially in the remote areas where there is a lack of too much exposure, that people get to be taught that anyone who sleeps or takes advantage of a younger child, a person who is younger than them, that constitutes to defilement, and then that should be reported to the police, to the councillors, so that authorities can take action on those people and we can try to curb on the teenage pregnancies that we are having in the country.
I actually like the fact that you're talking of the family.
Yes.
We have that issue in this country where a lot of defilement is from the uncles, even as stepfathers. Issues of stepfathers sleeping with their daughters. I have a daughter, maybe my wife came with that child, and then all of a sudden when she gets older, I'm having these certain feelings to now sleep with that child. What are the main causes? What can be done for us to stop behaving like that as human beings or as parents? And what can you say to those kind of people?
I think as a parent, every child is your child. You should take every child as a child. Even if your wife would come in with a girl child into the family, you have taken up the role of being the father figure. As such, you should take care of that girl child and monitor how she does her things, and not for you to take advantage of her and try to repay yourself for having maybe raised her from when she was 3 months old up to now when she is 18 years old. And then the family interaction should also be there, the communication between the mother, you as the stepfather, and also as the child, so that there is openness within the family. Should anything be happening to her, she should feel free to tell the mother that, no, I think my stepfather is making these kind of moves on me. So how do you think I should handle this? And also as a mother, just to monitor your child, how she's behaving and how everything is going on in the family. But as parents, we are father figures. As stepfathers, we just need to take care of the children in our family as they are our own.
I think we should talk to the to the young girl.
Yes.
I'm sure you've had experiences with older men approaching you and talking to you and saying things to you. What do you do as a teenager when you get in that situation? And what makes you take the decision in saying, no, I'm not going to do that? Is it because of what you've learned at home from your parents or from school or from church? So that maybe we can try and see how to actually help the other students or other teenagers who are going through the same problem.
Yes, I think that at home, it's important that parents teach the kids values and stranger danger, even to a small child, just to tell them that, just because they're being nice to you, they're offering you a lollipop, or they're giving you all these compliments, it doesn't mean that they have good intentions with you. And it's important to protect yourself at the end of the day, especially when you find yourself vulnerable and with no one else to physically be there to protect you. It's also important to be someone who goes to church, because I feel like as you go to church, you build up more character, more values and your morals. You understand right from wrong, and ultimately it helps with your day-to-day life on decision making and so on and forth.
Let's talk about social media. How do you think social media impacts teenage pregnancy?
The social world is found a way to be a part of all our lives. No matter where we turn, there's always going to be a screen. And yes, social media, there are some positive things about it, but there's also the negatives. You find that often in the music that we listen to, or in the movies that we watch, or even just scrolling on Instagram and TikTok, there will often be conversations about sex and relationships, but they never really talk about the consequences of those things. And for us who don't know those consequences, we feel that, so it must be exactly what these guys are implying, when in the actual case, that's not what it is.
I think we should talk to you, Madam Councillor. She spoke about certain things. I want us to still go back to this social media issue. As parents, we tend to give our kids, especially if they're in school, we buy them cell phones and then say, no, this is your cell phone. A child at the age of standard 7, you are buying her a phone. A child from 1 or from 2, you are buying them a phone. And for me, it was different. I had told my daughter, you are not getting your phone until you finish from 5. Even all my kids, I told them that. But I've realized most of us as parents, we feel if the child doesn't have a phone and maybe cries to you, if you don't get them the phone, you don't love them enough. What do you think as a counselor? Do you think it's right for us as parents to give these children or buy them cell phones so that they can go on Instagram or Facebook and see all these things that are happening.
If we put it out there, it's a very debatable issue because you find that as a parent, I'm buying my child a phone to help them navigate the school challenges, you know, being able to do their schoolwork, researching and everything. But you find those parents who are buying their children's phones to run away from the responsibilities of having to nurture their child. You know, a child has to have like limited screen time. That's very true because imagine my child comes from school, I give them my phone. They are going to end up, and on that same note, I'm not even monitoring the phone. You can imagine. They can end up creating accounts, logging into different social media platforms, and through that, they get to learn about things that are out there. You know, everything we see on social media is not how it is. People are hiding away some truth behind what is going on, you know. Our children will be starting to do everything that they see on the social media. And then when it comes to them, when they start to do that same thing, they find that, oh my God, I'm already in this situation. How do I get out of it? Forgetting that when they got to learn about everything that they learned through the social media platforms, they did not get to understand what was really behind the relationships that people are posing out there, the challenges that comes with the relationships that people go into, the cohesions into the relationships that are there. It's very deep that our children are having a hard time to understanding it. And I believe that as parents, we have the upper hand, you know, in nurturing and guiding our children to say that, you know that my daughter, in the real world, this is what I'm trying to protect you from. Do you understand it? Yeah. So we need to be able to monitor how the social media, the things that we are exposing to our children, let us monitor that because it matters the most into what we see is what we think, and it influences our feelings and our emotions.
I could see Mr. B had wanted to say something, but before you say something, let's just go for a break. When we come back, I'll give you a chance. Motswano etso re ntse re mmogo mo thulaganyo ya rena ya The Journey re bua jalo ka teenage pregnancy dikganyela tse ile gore di utlwisa botlhoko e ntse ya magoletsa mo lehatsheng la rona ra go nwa metsi tla re tswa kwa re tla bua re tsweledisa kganya ya rona. Motswana etso tla ke tse gape sebaka ke go amogela mo thulaganyo ya The Journey re ntse re tsweletse re bua jalo ka teenage pregnancy kganyela e leng gore e utlwisa botlhoko e bile tse e ile magoletsa mme gopola jalo gore o ka re tshwara o ka ithulaganya le rona ha ile gore o batla go akgela mo nomorong ya 31 o ka re tshwara mo nomorong e tla tswa mo screen motswana etso gore o bue le rona ha ile gore o na le potso kana o na le kagelo e o batlang go e botsa. Mr. B,
yes, sir.
It looked like you had a question or you wanted to add on to something that Madam Councillor here was saying.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Madam Chipo was saying in terms of the impact of the social media and everything. I think as parents, we need not to neglect our role as parents and leave everything to the social media. After buying our children a phone, yes, they need these phones. We are living in that modern age where technology has to be hands-on for these kids. But we need to alert them that not everything that you see there is real. Some people are just going there for the sake of creating numbers, content on YouTube and all that. So we need to alert our children that no, it's not everything that you see there that you need to imitate. Some things you leave them, and then others you can follow. And then also as parents, we need to monitor our children and what they use on their phones. There's apps which are there which we can install on the phones of our children, so that we see exactly what are they really doing. If she now needs to install a new app which you are not familiar with, then she needs to have your authorization from you as a parent. So those are some of the things that we need to put into place as parents. And then also, we need not look at teenage pregnancy from a girl perspective only. As fathers, we also need to talk to our boy children, our sons, so that they understand the impact of them and the damage that they can do to the girl child. They need to respect the girl child and then also not to get involved in sexual activities with, even though they are age mates. But the fact that she can get pregnant and he'll be the one responsible for putting her future in jeopardy, we need to talk to our sons about that so that they also get to understand the impact that they have and their contribution in the issues of teenage pregnancy.
Mr. Bamba, we spoke about education.
Yes.
Do you think our schools are doing enough in terms of educating these young kids? Because it looks like every year the numbers are increasing of teenage pregnancy in this country.
Yes.
And if the government is not doing enough or the school is not doing enough, what should we do to actually curb this issue that we're having?
I think we need to involve a lot of these things in our guiding and counseling sessions and even in our schooling systems, because some schooling systems, they're mainly focusing on the syllabuses and the curricula. They now forget these other social aspects that we have in our custody as teachers, as parents within the school. So I think this issue of guiding and counseling should be made even a bit compulsory in all the schools, so that all the children get to be taught about these things in life, including the impact of these teenage pregnancies that we are having now.
Maybe like how does it affect the one who is actually going through this situation? Let's talk about the youth. The one who is pregnant. What happens after they get pregnant? What do they go through in terms of kolapeng, in terms of school, in terms of the community? How does it affect the children when we talk about teenage pregnancy?
Okay. If we start off with the teenager who's pregnant, right? Kana pregnancy is a very huge journey in life. How about the way it needs you to have support. You need to be able to like provide. You get home, you tell your mom, "Mommy, this is what happened. Apparently, I'm pregnant." Parents react in different ways. You find that a parent has been the one someone. I get at this one. Amanela banna baholo baba konte kana baholo bo baba tona. I get wa but ubanela ngwana gagwe. Ngwana o molela gore moimana o molela gore no, we'll make a plan. What are you saying as a parent? What kind of role modeling are you doing to this child? I get A. And then we have these other parents, you tell a child comes to them and tell them, "Mama, this is what happened." The mom gets angry, they shame the child. They even tend to kick them out of the house. I get ngwana wa konte kwa haitso gore aye kae o alone, the emotion, the too much moene. Mentally, she's not thinking okay. And at that time, suicide can come creeping into them. Suicide is the only way out of the situation I'm in. We bring it back to the community. We have the stigma of stigmatizing these young girls they've fallen into teenage pregnancy at a very young age. We tend to forget where are they coming from. What happened? You get the point. So if we tend to overlook such situations, it's going to end up taking this issue. It's not going to be curved in a way. It's just going to keep on increasing because we have too much stigma. Instead of taking the stigma to support, now the children will feel left out because pregnancy brings about change to you as a young child. Your body changes. How you think now changes because you're not thinking for yourself only, but you're also thinking of what the future holds for you. You get the point. And then the other thing is, as a young child who's out there who has gone through this journey, it's going to affect your school. Your social relationships are going to get affected because you are pregnant, you're still at school. At a young age, imagine how that would make you feel as an individual out there. And to an extent where now these other students who fell into pregnancy, they end up being afraid of going back to school because of the stigma and the name calling and the name shaming that they're going to have to experience. So they end up becoming stagnant in the situations that they are in at that moment. That is why right now we have a lot of illiterate students who are out there who don't even know how to do certain, English concepts and math equations and everything. That is why we're saying education is important. Let's take it very importantly, because with it, you can end up going into lengthy milestones in life. So basically, that is the challenges.
Let's talk about the resources. Are there any resources for these teenage pregnant kids? Is there a place where they can go for help or for counseling? I always hear you must understand according to me, they are not the right people to do counseling for teenage pregnancy because they are not trained for that. Are there any relevant places where a teenager can go and cry for help to get counseling, a proper counseling?
Of now, what I'm aware of is that Botswana is still lacking in those areas. But the orphan, the needy, I get. But if you are a teenager and you ended up going through the teenage pregnancy journey, we tend to forget and not focus on the boy child. We only focus on the girl child. I get. Ha go ntse le ngwana mosetsana o kgona go tsamaya le motsadi wa gwe ba ya ko maboipelego ba go bua case sa bone, then bo maboipelego ke tsa kere ba to go tsa the necessary procedures to help the child. I get ba simolla ba ya court and everything, right? And then we have non-governmental organizations in Botswana. I know Bosasnet, BOFA, they are there to offer counseling services. We have students from Abednico College who are doing counseling even in University of Botswana. They do their internships there. Now they get to do the real thing. They start to put the knowledge they have into reality, So that is where counseling services, they can get them. Even in private organizations, schools, educational institutions, we have guidance and counseling. Guys, my teacher are guidance and counseling. They know what is supposed to be done to help these students. You understand? And even us who are private institutions, we do have school counselors. And, we are still looking into the collaborations and partnerships with these non-governmental organizations to bring them to schools to do the empowerment and the psychoeducations to the students so that they know that, okay, BOFA is there to come in and teach us about everything, contraceptions, pills, and everything. And that could be a very good initiative if it was taken into very serious consideration.
Mr. Bamba,
Yes, sir.
we are busy talking about the pregnancy, the teenage pregnancy, but we are forgetting the other aspects that come with it. Let's talk about health, for example.
Yeah.
We have diseases that come with that as well. We have HIV/AIDS, and these are the other small nitty-gritties that we need to also focus on in terms of teenage pregnancy. What are we saying about that? Do we actually do counseling to those kids that are going through this situation? Do we actually inform them of the risks that they can encounter when they're having a child at that age and not having unprotected sex?
I think mostly we are not protecting our children from all these other aspects of the diseases that they can catch while participating in these kind of activities. And as such, it ends up leading to, like what we were saying also, the rates of the HIV/AIDS also going high up. So I think even in our schools, when they are teaching the moral education and everything, they need to involve this to explain to the girl child, to explain to the boy child as well, that no, when it comes to these things of indulging in sex and then ending up getting teenage pregnancy, you can end up also having these other diseases like HIV and AIDS, and then the child has to know all these other effects. And then also, especially with the families and everything, with the defilement thing that we're talking about, that they might know that this uncle is HIV positive, but they'll still go on to protect when maybe he rapes the girl child, unlike going with them to the hospital so that at least they can get treatment immediately after the rape occurs, and then they can be given something to protect them from getting any of the diseases. We are not doing quite a lot as a community to help these kids to prevent these diseases. Yes.
And as a girl child, I'm sure you hear some of these cases happening. What actually comes into your mind when you hear your friends talking about these things? You also spoke about foundation, being raised up well from a good foundation. What is the best foundation for you? Do you think church is the best foundation? Do you think parents should start focusing on taking their kids from that young age to church so that they can have good morals, like you were saying?
Yes, I do feel like going to church is very important in a person's life because, like I said, it builds character. It also helps with building values. And when now you see the world is dealing with these things, you see kids dealing with pregnancies and diseases, you know that, okay, I know how to prevent it. I know why I'm preventing it, not because someone is going to name call me, not because I'm afraid of this or I'm afraid of that, but it's because I was taught well, and I want better for myself, and I want to see a brighter future for myself. Yeah.
Let's talk about the single parents. Yeah, we do have single parents that are struggling that we're talking about. Ba e leng gore bangwe ba gweba ka bana yaka no bua. Re ka ba thusa jang gore re ba ntshe mo dikganyeng tse dintseng jalo tsa gone gore ba itse gore ba tsenya bana ba bone mo diphatseng? Kana go ha thuto ke so se se botlhokwa. Educating the parents as well is very important, because how you raise your child determines the future of that child. So ha ke itse gongwe yana o ka e latlhela gore batsadi re direng se e leng gore se tshwanetse gore re godisa bana ba rona sentle.
O bona mo dikolong ngwana o ta sekolong a tsoga kwa lapeng a tlogela motsadi. So children parents workshops, I think that can be something that we can look into. You know, as ka nna motsadi a biletswa sekolong gota go tsa report-a ngwana, a ene motsadi a ta le ngwana gagwe ba ta go rutiwa ka ditsela tse di farologaneng tsa bo how to parental guidance, you know, what is expected of you as a parent, right? How to guide your child to be this fulfillment of your life. What is expected of you also as a child to say that you are acting rightly and you are in the right path. These workshops can be like a psychoeducation programs that can be done. Yeah.
Mr. Bamba,
Yes, sir.
let's talk about prevention. I need us to prevent the teenage pregnancy. I'm sure you are a teacher, you are a father, you have a daughter or you have children. How do you prevent them from getting into such issues?
I think the best way to prevent this starts within the family circle, where we as parents need to talk to our children, the son and the daughter, to explain to them all these impacts of all the dangers that lie in front of them when they are out there in the world. If you can educate your child properly while in the home, and then when they go out there, they will really know that I was taught about this from my parents. I should not go into this line. I should not participate in these things. So if you start from the home setup, where you teach your child, the girl child and the boy child, not to indulge in these things until when they reach a certain age and when they are ready, then you can take it up from there. And then also when it goes into the schooling environment as well, we also need to be teaching them more. it's good that we are putting condoms everywhere in the schools, in the clinics, in the bus stations and everything. But let's educate them that they are not there for you to just use, but then they are there to protect you. So when the time is right, that's when you're supposed to use them, not to just take them and try to experiment. So it starts with us in the family, and then it also goes into the schooling system where we have to educate them how they are supposed to conduct themselves and not to participate into these things until they have reached a proper age.
Let's talk about culture. It's very important because I think when we talk about culture being from my age group, even your age group, our parents are parents who did not talk much about sex.
Yes.
They could not sit down. I could not sit down and talk to my father about sex or anything like that. What is it that we are not doing, today's parents? What is it that we're not doing? Because it seems like the older generation taught us well, but we didn't have such problems back then. Is it because we were disciplined, or is it because of the culture, that culture was more into it than today? Because today it seems like there's no culture.
Yes, nowadays there really is no certain pattern of culture that we are living with, because mainly we are adopting things from the Western countries, from the European countries. So already our own culture has been eroded because of these things that we are seeing, like what we're talking about on social media and everything. So I think basically we need to come back to those days when we had to a family that can sit together and have dinner properly. And then while you are having such dinner, then you can discuss such kind of an issue. Ask your daughter, how was school? How was everything going on? And then maybe she might be able to explain to you what the other boy child was trying or to impeach to her. So I think we need to go back to the old setups where we can be able to sit with our children and then just discuss with them and let them know the dangers of all the teenage pregnancy and everything, and go back to the culture of, well, raising the child by the Bible. Eventually, when you raise them by the Bible, they get to be taught in the church the good and the bad. Somewhere, somehow, it clicks back into their head whenever they're about to do something wrong. So I think we need to go back to the cultural roots and then also to the Bible and the teachings of in the church to guide our children as well.
Madam Councillor, ke go tlo bua ka gore batsadi ba bangwe re tshaba responsibility kana re tshaba I don't know gore no ra re tshaba responsibility or we don't have time for our kids. A go mo ke gone mo go dirang gore bana ba helle ba tsere ditshwetso tse di sa siamang, ka gore nna ke le motsadi tlebe ke sa nne le nako go nna ha tshele ngwana ke go mmolella tse ile gore di tshwanetse gore a di itse as a girl child. And looking at it from that point of view, as a woman, ne re itse gore back in the days or in the olden days, batho ba bo mme ha ile gore mme o na le ngwana a mosetsana, wena as a woman ke wena o tshwantse go mo ruta di-value tsa mosadi gore mosadi o itshwara yang. Culture ke gona ha re buileng te gore e latlhegile. Where did we go wrong?
You know, the world is changing. This now generation is different from the back generation. You know, how our parents back then did things is different to how these now parents are doing things. Understand? Batsadi ba tshaba responsibility because we tell them batsadi a tshaba go nna ha tshele ngwana a mola gore ngwanaka kana go ntsana le yana wa bona anna a sa mo direle nako. Your child doesn't have to necessarily be a burden to you. Your child has to be your priority. Come rain or shine, you have to make time for your child. Check in on them. It's not all about asking how was school. Wanaka, how are you able to withstand all these challenges? You know, there is peer pressure out there. How are you managing? What do you normally do? Are you able to choose your friends wisely? Why at this young age? Start monitoring your children, our children out there. Oscars have a responsibility, or I'm always busy, I'm trying to make a living for you. Utika ngwana ka madi, umutika ka the private school, you know, you're running away from the thing that you're supposed to be doing so that you can make a better individual who's going to help reduce the teenage pregnancy out there, especially if it's the girl child. If it's the girl child, I'm sorry. And then if we come to the boy child, you find that it's not only about the fathers talking to the boy child and the mothers talking to the girl child only. No. You fathers are supposed to be having these talks with your children, either girl child or boy child. You should be able to accommodate them and their feelings and the things that, you know, the things that they wish to be doing out there, and tell them, okay, the thoughts that you're having about doing this, it's a good thing. No, my child, doing this is actually wrong. You know, my daughter, this is how it is. Don't be afraid to be open to your child, because the more you are afraid, the more they're going to step further back, because they know that, Papa, if I go to him and talk to him, he's going to react this way. I know I don't have a friend in my father. Rather, my friend is out there, sugar daddy out there, whereas that is very wrong. So it starts in the family, like we have been saying throughout this time. It starts in the family. The foundation matters. Because ngwana gago ha ke ke tswa mo lapele le gore ha go ana sent, o expecta gore le ko sekolong a ye go ira sent, mo society ngate a excel sent. No, it all starts at home. Charity begins at home. Thank you.
Ke mo go amantle mo tshwanetse go gopola jalo gore o ka re tshwara ha ile gore na le potso kana o batla go akgela mo thulaganyo ya rona, o ka re tshwara mo mogaleng wa 3166447 kana 316638 ke yone nomoro ile gore o ka re tshwara mo gone ha ile gore na le kakgelo kana o batla go botsa potso nngwe. Mme re ntse re tsweletse re bua jalo ka teenage pregnancy. Tla ke boele ko moragonyana re bue ka kanya diritibatsi, drugs and substance abuse. Ke utlo bua gore peer pressure, influence e nngwe mo baneng. Do you think those things are also the main contributors to teenage pregnancy? And also, ke eng se se dirang gore lona bana ba gompieno le nne le that influence e leng gore e diragala ka bonako, kana peer pressure e leng gore e diragala ka bonako, le dirwa ke eng?
Okay, so regarding the decisions that we make while being under the influence of a drug or alcohol, you cannot make a sane decision, because there's something that is disturbing your mental space. So therefore, if someone says, oh, let's do this, in your head, it's just like, it's probably okay. You're not thinking properly, you're not thinking straight, because you have this drug or this substance that is disturbing your thinking state. And then another reason why we're so vulnerable to peer pressure is, like I said, the general fear of not fitting in. We feel that if we're not gonna fit in, we are going to be outcasted. No one's going to take us seriously. No one's going to like us. And we have this fear of loneliness, of not having a place to truly be ourselves. So if that means that we're going to have to agree to certain things, even if in the back of our mind we know that it's wrong, we might just do it to get that validation, to get that fulfillment that we're looking for.
Wa mutla ngwana ke re gore
Ke motla
gore la re gona le sengwe se re sa se direng sentle re le batsadi. And ha re bua ka yone kgang ya gone go neela bana madi, ke utlo bua gore as parents we throw away money to the kids and say, go do this, go do that, but not spending time with that child. How important is this to spend time and to talk to your child and to educate your child as a parent, instead of flushing them with phones or with money or by social media?
Luxury life is not it. It's not everything you could always want in life. there's always going to be a gap in that life. How no tickets ngwana ruri ka madi, how mo monetary, how ne ha tselene o bua le ene gore ngwana ka how's everything, right? You're not building that bond. You're not building that relationship le ngwana gago. There's going to be that gap. As much as their needs and wants are attended to, but where's the love and belonging? Where there are unfaithful relationships out there, we have those older men and women who tend to manipulate them and say that I'm the best thing to ever happen to you. You know, which is very bad. So building a relationship with your child, it helps them and it builds within them to say that, okay, if I'm going through such a situation, I know I can talk to my mom. She can guide me through it. I know I have my dad. He'll always help me through it. They know they have a listening buddy within you. They know they have a friend within you, not only a parent. You know, having these relationship doesn't mean that these children of ours should overstep the boundaries. No. As a parent, no, you have the upper hand. You have the upper hand to say, my child, now you're overstepping. Let's not forget the boundaries we set around our children. I get it. Because if a child tend to forget that, hey, this is my mom, they overstep it. I get it. And then you find that when they overstep the boundaries, you're not going to be able to reprimand them to say, you're going the wrong way, right? And then you find that in some situations, our children tend to fit into the wrong crowds, just like she has been saying. She fits into the wrong crowds trying to fit in, doing the drugs, the vapes, the hubblies, the space cakes, which are currently trending, I think, right now. And you find that these friends are the same people who don't want to see you succeeding in life, and they are just pretending. Not everyone wants to be your friend. We tell a lot about you drink that thing or you eat it, they bring in someone to start using you in a bad way. When you wake up, you don't know what's going on with you. You start experiencing these nasty things with your body, you know, and you're unable to like picture everything back because you can't remember exactly what happened. You understand it? And you end up getting these syphilis, the STIs, the HIV rates are still going high as of now. You find that you're pregnant and you don't know who to pin it to. Who are you going to cry out to out there? You have no one because your parent also failed to build that relationship. You as a child also failed to step in and build that relationship. And you find that the other thing is that we as the now generation, we tend to fail in building boundaries. I would like to stand by my word and say that if you're able to build boundaries around yourself, you'll be able to say no to the peer pressures, to these silly things that are always, you know, eye-catching to the youth and these teenagers. You'll be able to say no to such things.
A re tshwaregelalo motswana etso re ntse re tsweletse re bua ka kgang ya rona ya teenage pregnancy e leng gore ile magoletsa mo lehatsheng la rona mme tla re go nwa metsi e tla re bua re tla be re tsweledisa kgang ya rona. Motswana etso re ntse re tsweletse re bua jalo ka kgang ya teenage pregnancy e leng gore ile magoletsa mo lehatsheng la rona dikgang tse di utlwisang botlhoko e le ruri. Mme tla re yana re buele Mr. Bamba gongwe re ka tsaga Madam Councillor a na swa teng re buele moragonyana re bue ka kgang ya substance abuse. Ke utlwa a bua gore re le batsadi re na le go neela bana madi ka gore ga re spend nako le bone. We don't spend time with our children. We give these children money to go to school. And some of the parents, you'll find them giving a child every day 50 pula or 100 pula every day. Don't you think that encourages that child now to start getting into, you know, substance abuse, using drugs or buying alcohol so that they can get into all these other things that we are talking about, teenage pregnancy?
Yes, I do concur with what Madam Councillor was saying, that we, as parents, we give these children money, but we don't monitor how they are using it. And once they start building a bank with that money, a pocket with it, that's when they can get the influence maybe from another child who is not having as much money, but has got access to these drugs, to this alcohol and everything. So as parents, when we give our children this money, we need to also monitor and just ask them, what are you spending this money on? And also monitor their changes in behavior and everything. Because yes, mainly these things are stemming out from the drugs and alcohol abuse that ends up happening with the children. So as parents, when we give our children money, we need to monitor how they are using their money, and also just sitting down with the children, the boundaries. Let your child know that life is what you make it. They need to understand that if they choose to take drugs, to do alcohol, they are not damaging anyone's life. It's entirely their own life. They don't need to follow what another child is doing because they come from a different family setup. They come from their own setup. Their destiny is in their hands. They need to make do with their life and create a pathway that is good for them. So when you give them their money, this money, just monitor how they are using it. Advise them, I'm giving you 50 pula. Use it on your schoolwork. Get resources for your school. Buy lunch. But do not be using this money to be getting drugs or to be getting any of those intoxicating substances. So that at least once we curb this abuse of drugs and alcohol, then we can also be able to reduce on these teenage pregnancies that happen when they are not even aware of what was happening around them because they are intoxicated. Yes.
You spoke about also spending quality time with your kids.
Yes.
Do you think us as parents were doing enough in terms of motivating our kids? Because I know in terms of my life, when I look at it, I have 2 boys and a daughter as well.
Yes.
I always make sure I check in their room.
Yes.
Open the wardrobe, check for any kind of things, because a child, if it's your child, you have the right to walk into the room, search the wardrobe. Do you think parents should go to that extreme? Because I do that. Even till now, I still do that. I have a child who's doing Form 1,
Yes.
and the other one is doing Standard 6. And I still, to this day, go into the room, check their bags when they come from school, make sure that there's no funny little things in there. Do you think parents should be doing the same thing that I'm doing, even though you trust your child?
100% say, 100%. Parents should go to that kind of a level when they can randomly just ask their child to open their bag and then they check there. There are children who will come back home portraying a different character from what they are, because now they are, like she said, peer pressure. She's now playing with some other people out there. You don't know what those people are giving her. So yes, as parents, we need to have constant touch with our children and monitoring. Go into their room, check what they are having, go through their phones, see what they are going through on their social media, right? The money that they are spending, like I said, check what they are spending on. I think we don't need to leave it to fate. We need to be bold as parents and take care of our children. We know as teenagers they do have attitude and all that, but as she said, as a parent, you are the one who has the firm hand on your child. If you let go and let loose of the child, you will end up crying later on, and the future of the child will also have gone down the drain. So as parents, we still need to give our children room, trust them, but we still need to have a strong, firm hand on everything that they do.
Madam Councillor, we need to talk about now the programs or ways to curb this issue that we're having. It's been a problem for years, but it looks like it's increasing. As a councillor, what ideas or plans do you think we can put into place? Or do you think the government can help in terms of maybe rehabilitation centers, entertainment centers, or more sports? What do you think can be done in order for the kids to be taken out of those thoughts of getting to get indulged in substance abuse and then getting to pregnancy?
But it can never be enough trying to do something so that people can see it. This is why we have these programs that are still not in the surface, that people are still not aware of. allow me to enlighten on the Face the Nation organization. It's a Christian-based organization. I've once gone through it. And, you know, for example, in schools, junior, primary, and secondary, I think, we are taught about the ABCs, you know, abstain, be faithful to yourself, condomize, you know. And I hate this condomize, because if you're saying condomize, it's like you're saying, take the condom and go do it. You know, as much as you're trying to give out the message, let's curb the message and give it out in a very good way. With Face the Nation, we have now changed it to say that it's abstain, be faithful to the commitment you have made to yourself. And then C, it's for claim character. And if you're a Christian, you would like to say, claim Christ. If you claim Christ, it means that you have given your life to Christ and you're living through that path. If you claim character, we're saying let your doings follow your actions. You know, you can't be doing something that's irrelevant to how you're portraying yourself to. Stop hiding these nasty shenanigans and giving us this portrait that says, I'm a good child. Whereas behind closed doors, you are this child, you know. We have Face the Nation organization, like I said. We have the non-governmental organizations here in Botswana which need to be given more attention to. You know, BOFA, for example, is one of the ones that I know and are close to my heart. And then we also have, in schools, I would like to encourage the counseling services, you know, parents, children, collaborations, you know, parents coming in, different people from different organizations coming into the schools to teach the students. Let's not give out that thing and say, it's not working. Slowly but surely, these students and children, they start looking up to these people, you know. Let's be good role models to these children to say that if I behave this way, what is my younger sister going to do if I go out of the way, you know. Let's continue on bringing out people who are good out there, acting on good behavior and everything. Let's bring them in and expose them more so that they can do the outreaches, talk to these students and motivate them to say that, you know, guys, you can't be going through this journey. This is how you're going to end up. Yeah.
Let's talk about the concept, the condoms that are being put, contraceptive that are being put in schools, in public places. Is it okay for these young teenagers, the 18-year-olds, for them to be taking them and using them? What message are we actually putting out there if we're doing that?
The message can be taken in two different ways. Some students can say, oh, we're given these things to actually put them into use, you know. That is what I'm saying. If you say something, it can give it two ways. We put those condoms there in schools to say that students, these things are supposed to be used this way, but you're supposed to use them when you are the right age, you know. Let's nurture them, let's teach them that, you know, as much as we are teaching you guys about the contraceptives, the condoms and everything, we are not saying do it now. Wait for the right time. The right time is when in life you're stable enough, you're able to provide for yourself, not when you're still dependent on your parents. Imagine now that mistakes happen and then you fall into teenage pregnancy. How are you going to provide for that child? If you are at the right age of being able to like provide for yourself, you'll be able to say, okay, I'm in this situation, so now I can provide for this child. I get support from my parents, and this is what can be going on. Do you understand it? And then the other thing is that, you know, these students need to also understand that if they are going to condone to the peer pressure of seeing their friends doing it, they're going to fall into the bad traps that are out there. So that's...
I want us to talk about some parents. I know there are parents who actually do some implants. What makes that parent take that decision? And is it right for them to do that?
As a parent, you know what is right for your child and what is wrong, right? So if you're going to make that choice for your child, you would have a reason behind it. You wouldn't just wake up one morning and say, you know, Abigail deserves an implant. No. It would be because I've been monitoring her, the people she's associating herself with. She comes home late. She often lies to me, and I end up finding out that, you know, this child has been lying to me. This is how it is. She's now dating to an extent where now she's even in sexual intercourse with this person, you know. So as a parent, if you're going to make that choice, it will be not because you just woke up one morning and decided that. It will be because of what you have been observing with your child. That is why it's very important to keep them close to you so that you're able to nurture them and see them if they are going out of the way.
Maybe I can put it in another way and say, to some parents, we might say you are encouraging a child by doing that. I could say that. Maybe the child can feel, my mom knows what I'm doing, that's why she's doing it, so I might as well just go ahead and do it.
No.
At that age, to have an implant on a child, what message are you sending to that child? Instead of disciplining that child and making her know that there are decisions that they must take which are right.
No, you're not wrong to put it that way. You know, it's okay to even look at it from that extent, to say that my child can even think that saying that we should go and get the implant, I'm actually encouraging her. For sure, you're not supposed to only take that decision alone. Sit down the child, talk to them. I've said you have the upper hand. You can discipline that child. Take the belt, talk to them, beat them, do whatever you find suitable for your child so that they don't end up falling into the wrong ways, right? So if you are going to go down that path with your child, communicate clearly, that let them understand exactly why you're doing what you're putting them through. And that you should have communicated clearly, right? And they should also understand that. So, yeah.
Mr. Bamba, you look like you have something to say.
Well, yes, I like what you said, like when a parent now goes to the level of having to put an implant into a child. But from my perspective, that shows some kind of level of failure from my part as a parent. Because as a parent, like we were talking about, setting the boundaries, teaching your child well. If you teach your child well, your child should be able to listen to you and not be able to be participating in these things, rather than you now having to go back behind their back and have to put an implant in them. So as parents, let's open up to our kids, let's befriend them, but also let's not let loose. Because I really feel if you are going to put an implant into them, that's more like you're saying, go ahead, go and do it. Just like we were saying about putting condoms in the school, kids will be kids. Whenever they see something, they would want to experiment with it. So I think it's best that we just try to be open with our kids, but not let loose of them, but try to be strong and bold and give them the correct direction so that we don't have to go to these extreme measures of having to be putting the implants in them. Yes.
Maybe let's talk about the three types of characters, because I realize that especially for children, teenagers, you have three faces. At home, you are somebody else.
Yes.
In school, you are the girl. And when, in the community, they know you as the Wano Maiteo who listens and all that. What makes you have those three different characters as a teenager? And don't you think you can have one character that can accommodate you and you being yourself, instead of pleasing all the other people and trying to be something that you're not?
Yeah, like I said, as teens, we do tend to fear not fitting in. We want to have approval, not from just people at home, not from just people at school, but from the world, the society in general. And sometimes that means that you're not comfortable with yourself, with your character. Sometimes you feel like it's not enough. Sometimes it means that you have to adapt to someone else's character. You want to relate to them? Okay. They like to watch this kind of movies. Okay, that means I'm going to start watching them so we can have something to relate on. Because at the end of the day, you're just trying to fit in. So when you go home and you're going to pretend to be a good child, it's because you don't want your parents to shout at you. You don't want them to feel like, this kid is a burden, or mano, or it's a stress. And then when you get to school, you don't want these people to think, this person's boring. They're not interesting, they're not smart, they're ugly, what. And then in society in general, not everyone will know you, but you still have to have a way that you present yourself. So overall, you can choose to be respectful, you can choose to be out there, or you can still choose to preserve your personality and your characters to overall also protect yourself. Because I feel that even with this personality switching, it's another way of self-defense, because you don't know how the person next to you is going to react or how they're going to feel about who you are or your personality. So yeah.
We spoke about 3 different personalities, and you know what causes these. Let's talk about peer pressure, for example. Yeah. Peer pressure in schools. What causes that in school? For them to fit, for them to want to be like somebody else. What makes them want to fit? Is it the environment, or maybe there's something that they're not being taught well, being, no matter what, you must be yourself, my child.
For you to be trying to fit into something that you're not used to, it's because you want to gain approval. It's because you want to fit into that certain environment. And also, you can look at from this perspective to say that this child comes from her family, she's the godchild. This is how the mom and father know them. This is how the sisters know them. But when they get to school now, they become rebellious in a way. That shows that at home, they are afraid of being who exactly they are. They are afraid of revealing their inner self. And sometimes it could be because they are lacking something from home. You find that the child at home is rebellious, but when they get to school, towards the teachers, towards the other students, they are good to them. Why? Because at home, the parents are not accommodative to them. The teachers offer them a listening ear to say that I'm able to understand exactly what you're going through. At home, where can't you for once try to understand where they are coming from? And then with the society, there is how people expect you to be behaving. For example, let's say you went to this prestigious school, right? Once you're done with school, they expect you to be living the certain lifestyle because you went to that school. So you end up going to change how the whole perspective of who you are just to try and fit in, which is where now you start running after the monies, the sugar daddies and everything. And then you end up doing what? Falling into the teenage pregnancy, which is the main issue of the day. Do you get where I'm going with this? Yeah.
Mr. Bamba, since the time is run out, I'm going to give you a minute to actually tell us what is the best thing to do, or what can we do as a nation to try and curb this issue that we're having of this teenage pregnancy?
I think as a nation, I'll still bring you back to the concept of the home and the family. This is where this all starts from. As parents, let's take care of our children. Let's understand them. Let's listen to them when they have got needs and concerns that they want to pitch to us. Let's listen to them so that they do not end up falling into these peer pressures. These peer pressures which lead them into drugs and alcohol, and then eventually into these teenage pregnancies. So as parents, let's create a homely environment where our child is free to talk to us and we are free to talk to them, and we educate them properly from there, but still maintaining a bold hand on all their activities that they will be doing. And then the teachers in the school also need to help and work hand in hand with the parents, communicating with the parents if they see any behavior changes from the child, and then letting the parents know so that both of them can put their heads together and try to assist the child. I think if we do it like that, the teachers and the parents working hand in hand, we can be able to reduce onto the teenage pregnancies problem that we have.
I'm going to ask you the same question.
Okay.
As a teenager, what do you think can be done to actually help prevent this issue that we're talking about?
I feel that we as teenagers should not forget that we also have responsibilities, and that means that we should choose who we hang out with, we should choose who we want to be, where we want to be, whether in the present or in the future, because overall we want to see ourselves succeeding in the future. We want to see ourselves pursuing our passions, seeing our dreams and our careers coming to life. And that means that we too have to take a stand and prioritize what's most important to us.
Madam Councillor, ke tlo ga motsotso ka e re sile nako gore ke eng hela se le gore ka se dira. What can we do as a nation to have care of this problem that we're having?
If it was possible, ne nkare re ka busetsa setho sa gore ngwana wa ga masimamang ke ngwana wa setšhaba sotlhe. O bona ngwana a tswa mo tseleng o ska ro motogela motsadi wa go le wena tsena o buelene le ka go mo kgapha mo dontse e leng gore le wena wa itse gore hey ha ka tsena kwa hana khotso wa bona. And then guys, counseling is out there. Let's not take it for granted. You know, it's there to help people learn self-discoveries, personal growth, you know, emotional intelligence and everything else. And also as parents, let's also do self-reflections within ourselves to see where we have gone wrong. How wrong you know, instead of saying sorry directly to your child, do it in a way that she'll be able to notice, oh, my mom is saying sorry because of this. Your child is always complaining to you. Self-reflect, why is my child saying hell? So basically, that is what I can say for now.
Let me take this opportunity to thank you for coming here and sharing with me this topic. And may God bless you. Motswana so we utlwile khanya rona ene re bua ka one ya teenage pregnancy ke solegela ha o dumeletse sene re bua ka sone mme re tla tswela re ntse re kopana gape mo laborarong o tlang a modimo a le se go hatse ke bidio apa go matlhana.